What's going on, fam? It's Dash, aka Papa Swoley with swolenormousx.com, and I want to show you exactly how I activate my glutes. If you're having trouble with your squat, if you're having trouble with feeling it in your butt when you're doing lunges, like that's not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to feel it in your hamstrings. You're not supposed to feel it in your lower back when you squat, when you deadlift. If you're having trouble activating your glutes and feeling it in your glutes, if you're having trouble feeling your glutes, this is the exercise you want to do. It's really easy to do. You could do it anywhere. You could do it at home. It's great for a warm up. It's great for an activation exercise in between workouts. You could do it anywhere. And to get this piece of equipment, as you'll see right here in the videos, you see the bands around my legs. They're extremely cheap. They're like $2 each. You can get a whole set on Amazon for like 10 or 12 bucks. So these are called lateral tube bands, or just elastic tubes or rubber bands, but you'll see them listed probably as just exercise tubing or exercise bands. And these go around your shin, just above your shin, lower leg. For this exercise, you don't put them around your thigh. You'll see some people putting it around their thigh or right above their knee or below their knee. That's just wrong. You want to keep them below your knee and just around your ankle, or maybe just above. So what I want to do is direct your attention. We're just going to go through these couple of videos and I want to explain how they're done. So as you can see, and I'm wearing obviously my finger shoes, if whatever you want to call them. I love my barefoot shoes. They're great. So haters, take one of those. You'll see that my feet are completely straight ahead. So to start off, you suck your stomach in, tuck your pelvis under. So you want to make it seem like if your hips were a bucket of water, you're pouring water out the back end. So it's called a posterior pelvic tilt. And you'll notice that my feet are completely straight ahead. I'm also lifting the inner edge of my feet, which activates the arch. So that way I'm activating my anterior tibialis muscle on the front of the shin. And I'm keeping the pressure on the outside of my feet, which triggers my body to think outer hips. So we're talking the outer parts of the hips, the gluteus medius, are on the sides, outside. And when I'm stepping side to side, as you can see here, toes straight ahead, position the entire time. And my knees are not caving in, they're not buckling in, they're staying directly over my second toe. So everything's aligned. My stomach is sucked in, my glutes are tucked, and I'm just gently sidestepping, not overstriding. A lot of times you'll see people squat, they'll dip down. Let me try to minimize this. They'll dip down. Every time they take a step, they go down and up and then down and up. That's not correct. People that are overstriding, their knees kind of buckle in and bend in. That's not correct, because that's going to start working the hip flexors. Your body wants to rotate open. That's the problem. Your body wants to turn. Your body wants to open your toes up. So you're forcing. Remember, this is a corrective exercise. This is an activation exercise. So if you're having trouble activating your glutes, if you're having trouble squeezing your butt and feeling it there at the next day, or while you're working out, you feel it more in your quads, you feel it more in your lower back or your hamstrings, that's because those muscles are not activated. So you have to retrain, you have to reprogram your brain. It's not easy. So you need to do very strict, very controlled, very targeted, that's why they're called activation exercises like this one, in order to fire the glutes. So let's go to the next video so you can see my toes being straight ahead a little better. Now you'll see in part of this video, fixing my ball sack. Okay, let's go right here. Where is that? I have my hand. All right, so right here, I'm putting my hand on my lower back and my stomach just to make sure that my stomach is sucked in and my back is rounded and you're flat, but you're trying to round from an arch position. So tucking my tail under. But every single step, let me move this. Every single step, you can see my toes are straight ahead. I'm not overstriding. My knees aren't buckling in, my thighs aren't caving in. It's just completely straight ahead, small steps, keeping the pressure on the outside part of my feet, just to make sure that my femurs, my thighs, are activating and doing the work. I'm not trying to open up with my hip flexors, my front of my thigh. The last video being right here, this exercise angle, you'll see how I'm not dipping. I'm not dropping. I'm just stepping out to the side. You know, you drop a little bit because your knees are bending slightly, but I'm not doing a full squat. You might see that on Instagram or YouTube. A lot of these chicks that are like, hey, booty workouts, they're dipping, they're doing squats and all these things with a band around their thighs. That's not activating the right muscles. They're just getting a burn, right? It doesn't mean it doesn't work the glutes, but a lot of that stuff is done for show. A lot of that stuff is done improperly because you get a lot of videos out there from just uneducated people that don't know what they're talking about. They just genetically have a nice butt. They do squats and other exercises. This is often not done correctly. And my stomach is sucked in. Look, again, I'm holding my body in position, just checking. I'm cueing myself, making sure that I'm in the right position. But my step is not too large. Okay. My toes don't turn out. And that's going to be the biggest thing that you're going to have to focus on, because what you're going to do out of habit, you're going to step too far because you're thinking A to B. So don't overstride. Then your toes and your hips are going to try to open up because your body is used to walking to the front. That's the way you're designed. That's what you do. You don't just walk outside like a crab and go side to side. You walk front. So your body wants to open up that hip and step forward and use a stronger hip flexor. Now, we'll get into in other videos why the hip flexors are stronger and why the glutes are not activating properly as a result of those hip flexors being too tight. But that's the reason. When a muscle is overused, when it's overactivated, when it's used too often, when it's too tight, your body is going to skew movement towards that muscle. It's going to be imbalanced. Your body is going to want to move towards that muscle that's stronger, that's used more often out of habit. You're trying to break that habit. Remember, you're trying to activate other muscles. So you want to activate the muscles on the side of the glutes, on the side of the thighs, up right by the hip bone, right by the hip bone right there on the front, the side, the ilium, the iliac spine, right there on the sides of the butt. You get that nice dimple on the side, but this stabilizes your femur. This stabilizes your thigh. So if you have a lot of knee injuries, if your knees cave in a lot, ladies, you have wider hips naturally for childbirth, your thighs are coming in at an angle, strengthening the gluteus medius is going to help pull them back out. If you have chronic knee pain, if you have plantar fasciitis, if you have inflammation in the arch of your foot, if the knees are coming in, if they're bending inwards, you're going to get a lot of pressure on the arch. And if you have flat feet or weak feet already, again, the anterior tibialis is weak, so the arch is going to collapse and you're going to get a lot of pressure there. Your body's not going to absorb shock as much, and then you're at risk for plantar fasciitis, ACL tears, tendonitis in the knee, plantar fasciitis, inflammation of the plantar fascia on the bottom of the foot, and that's not good. That's not good. Your arch is what your body uses to absorb shock naturally. But as we'll talk about in other videos, when you elevate the heel, you shut down the muscles on the front of the shin, on the front of the ankle. You tighten up and shorten the muscles in the calves and the soleus. So as a result of that, because of wearing heels, because of having elevated heels and sneakers and high heels, you are really affecting your body at the ankle. So that could be a reason why your glutes are shutting down. Sitting down too often, the hamstrings being tight, but we'll get into that in other videos. So this exercise should not be done with super, super heavy bands when you start. Remember, activation. You're going to need slow, controlled movements. You're going to need more moderate to high repetitions. Okay. It's very important that you're doing the exercise properly. So the main cues, again, just to go over what I talked about, because I know I threw a lot of concepts at you, you want to push that pad on the big toe into the ground. I sometimes lift the big toe up, but I push the pad into the ground because I want to activate a little bit more and put pressure on the anterior tibialis, which is going to support the arch. That's the muscle on the front of the shin. And keeping your toes straight ahead. Again, because of trying to strengthen the arch and the anterior tibialis, rotating, kind of inverting the feet, keeping on the outer edge. And you want to make sure your body is balanced. You're not leaning back on your heels either. So you're pushing that toe on the toe pad and lifting the inner arch of the foot in order to stress the thighs more, and the outer thigh and the gluteus medius. You'll find if you start reaching with your big toe and trying to step out wider, you're going to open up your hips. You're going to use more of your hip flexor. Your feet are going to flatten, and you're not reteaching your body properly. Again, it's all about reteaching. You're corrective exercise, activation. You're turning on. And a couple other things, suck your stomach in, and again, pretend like your pelvis is a bucket of water. You're pouring water out the back end. So it's a posterior pelvic tilt, sucking the stomach in, tucking the hips under, and then not overstriding. When you're looking in the mirror, make sure your knee is over your second toe. That's next to your big toe, little toe, right? The little toe went to market, or the pinky toe or whatever. And then you're stepping out, making sure the knee stays in line with that toe. If you feel like your feet are turning out too much and your knees are buckling in, and you see that alignment start to change, you're stepping too far, or the bands are too heavy. Because if they're too heavy, your body is going to default to trying to stretch them with the strongest muscle possible, and that's going to be your hip flexors. So you'll see your hips starting to open up, and that's exactly the opposite of what you want to do. Okay, so these bands are very inexpensive. You can find them anywhere, probably Walmart, Target, Amazon for sure. These are from Amazon, so make sure you pick some up. This is an excellent exercise to do at home. It's a great exercise to activate the glutes, to start reducing your back pain, strengthening your core, because the core is the base of your spine, right where the pelvis is. It's a great warm up before leg day. So you can do this every day. You can do this before a leg workout. You can do this as a superset, but it's very efficient. Do it without shoes. Do it with either barefoot shoes or do it barefoot or in socks. That way you're strengthening your feet. And this is just a component of yoga, mobility, other types of stabilization training that we'll get into that I'll explain more of. But the lateral tube walk is an absolute fire exercise, especially if you're looking to activate your glutes, which will help you feel the burn and develop more of your glute muscles during your other training. All right. Hope you enjoyed this class on activating the glutes, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out.